Quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck, joins us. Andrew, Mike Francesa on the Fan, Yes Network in New York. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much. Doing well. Wish I could be playing this weekend, but doing well.
I'm sure. And, it has been, though, a very productive 2 years to step into a team that, won one game, and to be in the postseason 2 years in a row is a heck of a run in your first 2 years. You got to be very proud of that.
Yeah, I think we're doing some good things. I think Coach Pagano's created a great atmosphere, and hopefully we can take the next step next year.
What did you take? What was different this year? What was different this year in your experience than last year?
I think I definitely had a better feel for the speed of the game. Understood defenses a little better. We managed to cut down turnovers as an offense, and I think that helped us a big deal. So those three things. You had such a lot of pressure, a tremendous amount of expectations because of how much you had accomplished and how well known you were when you came out of Stanford. I mean, has it been what you thought it would be? I mean, you've been around with your father, you've been around being at the camps and being around the Mannings and everything else. Was it what you expected it to be, or was it a little different experience? I think it was a little different experience. That being said, I tried to approach everything, especially my first year, with eyes wide open and try not to assume I knew too much. And guys were very, very nice, great locker room atmosphere, very, very welcoming, which made it easier. But I made a conscious effort to try and not have too many expectations and just go in and with your mouth shut and listen and learn from some of the older guys. And I think it worked out all right.
The first year, your offense with Arians there was so wide open and so dynamic. Now you had the injuries this year too, especially to Reggie Wayne, but a little different offense this year. Do you feel more comfortable in last year's or this year's?
I think more comfortable this year. A big part because it's my second year,
right?
Playing in the league. I'm so happy I got to play for a year under Coach Arians. I think the way he approaches the game is so sharp and really inventive. And I learned probably more than I realized playing under him. He did so many great things. Not only for me, but for everybody, in that locker room and, in that building. But having familiarity with Pep Hamilton from college and then being in year two as an NFL player, I think it made it more comfortable this year.
What do you take from the great comeback? I mean, you had one of the great comebacks in league history against Kansas City. I mean, a game that for the ages, it's the second biggest comeback in NFL history. What do you take from that game to build on as a team and individually?
I think one, we realize what we can do as a team when we've got all three units, clicking like that. And Coach Pagano's always preached an attitude of never say never, and don't stop until you see 3 zeros on the play clock. So guys play hard. When you watch Robert Mathis, he plays as hard as he does. The last snap is the first snap of the game. Up 20, down 20, whatever it may be. So he sort of sets the tone for those comebacks, and we're happy we could get that one.
Talking with Andrew Luck, who's one of the great young players in this league after 2 seasons. As you know, we talk about him in this program. Really one of the great players, one of the next generation of the big stars that'll dot this game and be a big part of everything in the NFL. You also can talk uniquely, Andrew, this week about this game because no one else is going to be able to come here who put up 30 points on Seattle in one and put up 39 points on Denver in one. So since you did both, give me a thought first about Seattle and what Peyton will be facing, and then we'll go with the other defense. But first about Seattle, you had a very good day against that vaunted Seattle defense.
Yeah, I think we managed to do all right that game. Obviously they have a great defense. I think what makes it tough is they got good players all over the football field. Obviously, their secondary gets a bunch of credit, and as they deserve, phenomenal players. I don't know how many Pro Bowlers were in that secondary, but a bunch of them. But their D-line and linebackers, they do a heck of a job. It's tough to run the football against them, and anytime a team can make
an offense one-dimensional, that hurts.
Do you expect them to be very aggressive, or do you think they will mix things up? They don't show you a lot of different looks, right? They're pretty basic in how they come after you. They're just very aggressive across the board, right?
Yeah, I do think they have an aggressive mindset, but with the type of players they have, and the sort of studs they have, they don't have to be too exotic in a sense. They go out there and play ball, and while it may look simple or look basic, it's anything but because they really, I think they create great matchups for themselves all over the board.
We talk about being able to single and get the ball to your big man. You got the ball to Hilton that day. You got the ball to Hilton a lot that day against Seattle. By design, or anything surprise you about what they did against you?
I'm trying to remember that far back, but I think I don't think it was too much by design. I think Reggie, obviously commands a lot of attention in any game we played, and he was still healthy at that point. So T.Y. did a heck of a job of stepping up to the plate and making some big plays.
How about against the Denver defense?
Yeah, another great defense. A little bit different style, but some great ball hawks all over the field. I remember being very not worried, but understand they did a great job of creating turnovers, and guys flew around all over the field. And when if Denver gets up on you, it's so hard to come back because they do such a great job of controlling the ball.
You give either team a big edge this week, or what do you see in this game?
I'm going to stay away from predictions. I have a personal policy not to predict on other teams' football games, but I do think it'll be a great game. I think two great teams should be a lot of fun to watch.
What do you, as you go to year 3 now, what is someone who's had as much success as you have in the first 2 years? What do you look to build on off these 2 very successful years, 2 years in the playoffs, a lot of personal success? What do you look to build off as you go to year 3?
Well, I think a lot to build off. Obviously as a team, we'd love to take that next step and get to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. I know personally, sort of looking back on the our playoff games, I've thrown a lot of interceptions and got by with it against Kansas City. We lost 2 years ago to Baltimore. I threw a bunch of interceptions and then threw a bunch against New England this year. So understanding how important taking care of the football is in the playoffs, especially to give you a chance to win.